Welcome to the Integration Code where awakening meets embodiment. I'm your host, Kaylyn Rakowski, conscious coach, facilitator, and guide in the realms of deep state work, nervous system healing, and spiritual transformation. This space is for those who are walking the path of remembrance, the ones learning to not just awaken, but what it is like to live awake. Here we'll explore the art of integration, weaving insight into embodiment, spirit into the body, and expansion into your everyday life. Because awakening isn't just the end of the journey, it's where embodiment truly begins. So, y'all, it has been quite a while since I've been here on the podcast. And to be honest, life has changed a lot since I launched this podcast. I felt like a couple years ago, I was going through really deep chambers of initiation in my own life, transformation, and there was so much unknown that was changing. And at this time, or at that moment in time, the podcast really reflected that. And the teachings and the different layers that were kind of woven in there really were a representation as to where I was at and what I was moving through. And I'm so proud of everything that I created, during some of honestly the darkest times of my life. And, now sitting here today, life looks very different. And honestly, who I am now versus who I was then has completely changed. And I really wanted the podcast to represent where I see this going, what I want to bring to you, what I want to speak to, what I want to teach on the guest. And, when I look back at all the beautiful threads, it's always been about integration. For me, integration and embodiment have been these constant pillars that are really deep in my own personal work and the work that I walk and guide my clients to. So you may have noticed the name changed from the Shadow Priestess to the Integration Code. And I feel that with this, it's such a deeper representation as to the work that I'm so excited to share with you guys. Life's been beautiful. Behind the scenes, I really made a pivot in my personal line of work, and I'm so thankful for the time that I got to spend teaching and coaching in the feminine arts. And not to say that that still won't be such a beautiful pillar and piece to my work, but altered states and really weaving in psychedelic medicine is the direction that I really see my life's work going. I've been doing it now for over a year. A lot of it's been kind of behind the scenes. I've teased a little bit with you, but now it's really time to come forward facing. It's really time to make my voice and make my authority in this field. And I wanted that to also really be reflected through my podcast. So today I had created a short class for some of my private clients who are in my one-on-one psychedelic containers about kind of an intro into psychedelics and somatics. And I thought, what a beautiful way to launch this new chapter of the podcast, as to share it with you guys today. So I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes as to my love for somatics, psychedelics, altered states, and how I really see this as the pathway to healing. We are going through this psychedelic renaissance, this resurrection, and people are waking up to what our ancient systems have known for a very long time, and really the power of altered states and working with and weaving in these different consciousness. So without further ado, I'm going to share this with you guys, and I'm so excited to be back. So love you guys. I hope you're here for this new iteration, and without further ado, let's dive in. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Whether you're here live or catching the replay, it's truly an honor to be invited and trusted in your space. And my goal today is to really share my love of altered state, somatics, and how utilizing these tools really are that bridge or can really awaken us back into the truth of who we are. So, for those of you who don't know me, before we dive in today, my name is Kaylyn Rakowski. I am a trained trauma and somatic practitioner, as well as a psychedelic facilitator, an energy healer. I also am trained in the feminine arts. I really love exploring all of these esoteric and these less walk-in paths to our healing and wholeness. So, we're going to dive in today about a conversation about psychedelics, about somatics, altered states, and, take this as an exploration, take this as your invitation to really see if this could be that missing piece or even just that next, brick into this new phase of evolution and expansion. Okay? So, we cannot even begin to talk about any of this without first talking about the soma. And when I'm talking about the soma, I'm really referring to the body as a living soul. So, in ancient Greek, soma meant the body, but really not as the way as we think about it today. When we talk about the soma, we are really talking about this container or this vessel to our living wholeness. It's this body that breathes, that feels, that remembers. And it's this vessel that doesn't just hold our experiences or our thoughts, but really just the whole totality of our soul. And this is what somatics is really here to teach us. And what it really invites us to is that healing isn't just this thing that happens in the mind, okay? But it's really happening through the body, right? That to be human isn't just this concept to understand, but it's a full body experience that is unveiling and becoming. Somatics really invites us into a deeper intimacy with life, with our breath, with sensation, what's happening beyond the surface or what we can logically contemplate or understand. And it really helps us feel and grasp that we belong here. Okay? And when we begin working with the soma and working with the language of the body, the next thing that really becomes undeniable is consciousness, right? This ever-present thread that we're not just this flesh and bones, and we are constantly reminded that we are the consciousness that is moving through it, right? So maybe you guys have heard about this, you're not a human with a soul. You're a soul with a body having a human experience. So it's kind of that understanding, right? That consciousness isn't just this abstract idea, that it is literally a force, that it's a thread that connects the mind, the body, and the spirit. And when we enter into these altered states, it's not about escaping reality. It is literally about expanding our reality, expanding our consciousness, right? Expanding our capacity to fully be here now. And I think that's where we get a lot of confusion around psychedelic medicine and altered states, that it's this form of escapism. When really what altered states are, in my opinion, are a portal way into possibility. Okay? Altered states are anything beyond our ordinary state of awareness, right? And only you really know what that ordinary state looks like, right? I'm sure mine probably looks a little different than some of your guys listening to this, and it's completely fine. But it's entering into these moments that stretch us, that expand us, that help dissolve us. And it's suddenly like you begin to have these new set of eyes and perception about your life and about, your ways of being, self experiences that you never had a reference point to before. And you feel something that is on this edge of sacredness, of connectedness, of oneness. And whether you're accessing these altered states through breath, through movement, through sound, through stillness, through medicine, it's like we step into this realm or to this space that we've known. Okay? It's like a remembering, a coming home, a reclamation. And you're reminded about what is available, but even more about what is possible for you. What these states really offer us is this crumbling and this dissolving of our not self. They soften these barriers that we've built to survive, right? They open us up and they help us remember that we're so much more than this current identity, ego, trauma, pain, conditioning, programming, whatever it is that we've been operating in. And what they invite us and teach us is what it feels like in our bodies to be fully here, in our power, in our soul, in the present. And the beautiful thing is that why we enter into these altered states or why we consciously choose to disassociate is to come back into our life fully, where it's almost like we're accessing these fragmented particles of our essence and of our soul and inviting them to fully come back. Okay? It's not about dissociating to escape life or to escape your problems. It's about consciously choosing to dissociate to return to your life, right? In a new sense of safety. Like I said, reclaiming the fragmented particles of our essence, of our truth. The parts of us that we left long ago that we felt were too much, not enough, or it just didn't feel safe to fully be. And what these altered states give us is a sense of safety, that it is safe now, that you're safe now, that it's welcome to come back. Because essentially what trauma is doing is trauma creates a fragmentation of our essence, of our soul. And what presence does is presence can really create, through altered states, this reunion, right? Altered states aren't showing us something that's foreign to us. They are revealing what's already inside of us, what's been waiting. They amplify what's here, what's real, what's ready to be felt. And held in the right set and setting, they become not just an experience, but truly a pathway to your embodiment, to your expansion, to your evolution. Because if you think about it this way, the body is the conduit of the soul. That's why we choose to incarnate and to be here, right? And modern neuroscience is really just beginning to affirm what us mystics, our medicine carriers, and our ancient wisdom carriers have known for thousands and thousands of years. That we're not separate, that the mind, the body, the soul, it's all connected. That the body is not just this vessel, but it is the conduit of the soul. And the soul, it doesn't speak in words or diagnosis, right? It speaks in sensation. It speaks in imagery. It speaks in emotion. It's the grief and the awe trembling in stillness. The soul doesn't live in the heavens. It lives close to the ground. It lives in the moment. It lives in your breath, right? It lives here in this exact moment. And why I'm touching on this and why this matters in the first place is because this isn't just about chasing these mystical experiences or these trips or getting high. It is literally about what gets to happen after. It's about who you become when you come back to your body, to your truth, to your wholeness, to your soul. And letting those experiences completely reshape how you live in the present moment, right? How you live in that normal state of conscious awakening. Awakening means nothing if you don't bring it back into the body, if you don't bring it back into the earth, right? If you're just spending all your time in these altered states or in the ethers or these other realms, you're missing the whole point of what it means to be alive and what it means to be human. When you awaken the body, it translates into new expressions of life. That's the work. That's literally the whole point. And the integration is the real magic, right? True transformation happens when these experiences become a choice. When the insights that you have, these aha, these realizations become anchored into a new way of being. When the presence that you felt in ceremony becomes the way that you meet fear, that you meet anger, that you meet judgment. Altered states show us what's possible, and somatic work teaches us how to stay there, how to create safety there. And together, when you work with these medicines and these tools, they don't just rewire your nervous system, but your whole perception and consciousness and embodiment of what it means to be human. They invite you to become more you. So the question isn't, how do I escape myself? It's about how do I become more intimate with all that I am, with life. Because throughout this line of work, you realize that healing isn't this destination. It's not a checklist. It's not a 5-step formula or this like perfect morning routine. It's a homecoming to yourself that you say yes to over and over and over again. It's this ever unwinding and unveiling journey back to your truth, back to your wholeness, back to the soul, back to the truth of who you are. And the body, the soma, well, honey, that's your altar. And altered states is the doorway. And the soul, your soul, well, they've been waiting there all along. And if this is resonating with you and you feel this activation and this remembrance, I highly encourage you to reach out, to explore what working with altered states of consciousness could look like for you. These are safely guided psychedelic sessions at home, provided for your healing, your awakening, your ascension, whatever it is that you feel like your spirit is hitting on in this masterclass, is feeling that yearning. Know it's there because there is something here for you. There is something here when you say yes to this work, when you walk hand in hand with a trusted psychedelic facilitator who isn't just there with you in ceremony and to give you the medicine, but to give you the tools that will truly transform your life and transform yourself. So if you're ready to explore altered states, somatics, I would be honored to walk this path with you. Take care.